Federal Family and Medical Leave Act currently entitles eligible employees of covered employers to take unpaid job-protected leave for specific family and medical reasons. There has been considerable talk in Connecticut about mandating paid leaves in certain family and medical situations. Would you support legislation that mandates that private employers provide paid leaves? Why or why not? Mike?
I would look at what New York just did. We like to hold up that we're one of the last in production in the country. Yet New York, which is one of the highest in the country, did just put this into place. And they put it in a situation where you can get 67% of your pay for 12 weeks on a paid leave scenario. The problem with that here right now is our small businesses are under such pressure, they've taken such a hit that I don't know that they could sustain it right now. So if we do it, if we look at it, I think we have to have thresholds for larger companies. We may not even have to go there though. Many large companies are already starting to implement themselves. Netflix gives 1 year fully paid leave for maternity to its employees. Facebook gives 4 months fully paid leave, maternity leave for their employees. And at the same time, they provide $4,000 stipend for each child born into the family. So corporations are getting a little bit of a taste of this social responsibility, and they're starting to take some of this into their own hands. That said, we may have to look at how that affects things going forward. We know by studies that those who do this, that when parents are at home, you have a much lower rate of depression, much later in life for both parents. We know you have a much better rate of survivalship of the babies, especially in maternity cases. The death from infant death syndrome actually drops by 10%. So this is something worth exploring. The damage that we would cause right now, though, to small businesses is probably a little bit too much of a risk. I think this is something we got to continue to look at, study, think about for the future, and not say, oh, well, nobody else does it. New York just did it, and New York is absolutely percolating with its economy.
I am totally against this bill. I am a small business owner, and this bill would affect me and most of the businesses that are in our state. Listen, this bill that was proposed at the Capitol this year basically said this, that you as an employer, should someone take this pay leave, you are going to have to pay for them as well as pay for their medical bills. Or for their medical, so while they're gone. So they take their 16 weeks over a 24-week period, but you as an employer would have to continue to pay them. So what that would mean is I would have to hire someone to replace that person while they were away on medical leave. I can't afford that, and most businesses can't afford that. I met with someone up in Plymouth in one of our mornings for breakfast. We meet once a month in Plymouth and in Bristol, and I was approached by a husband and wife business, a manufacturer up there, and they spoke specifically about this bill, that this would hurt them drastically. I am totally against this. Totally against this. This is exactly what drives businesses out of our state. Bills like this, mandates that are forcing this type of extra expenditures on our small business. This is what has to stop in Hartford.
Yeah, I get your point, Henry, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about amending this so if you look at New York, if we want to compare ourselves, New York, whose economy is doing far better than ours, just enacted the law. And they're doing it quite successfully. Now, I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form that small businesses would be harder hit by this if they felt that they had to hire to fill the position. That's not a requirement of the New York law. Under New York law, they don't tax the small business. So if you look at this, just being against it is of no use. You need to think about what it can do in a positive way, and how do you rewrite the law? How do you become innovative and rewrite the law so that it can become useful? It doesn't always have to tax business, and it doesn't always have to beat them to death. We can make it so that it's effective and still gain a very positive family outcome. This is called being innovative and creative with government, not necessarily always just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Senator Martin, 1 minute.
I'm going to talk to you from a small business perspective. You're going to hear all night from my, from the big business type of position. I'm here talking on the small business. I know how I treat my employee, and I know that most small business owners have personal relationships with most of their employees. And if they need a day off, or someone is sick in the family, they need that time off, then they usually give it without no questions asked. So, perhaps I have more faith in people, but this type of legislation right now would just burden us small businesses and most of the business in the state of Connecticut, and would just put added pressure for us to make ends meet.